So now that I've gotten everything sort of in place where I tentatively think I want it, I know there's going to be a lot more adjusting that I'm going to do, but I like this arrangement enough so that I want to go ahead and start to experiment with some text. Text, typography, those are two different things, but we're going to talk about them together since they're very closely related. Now, I could jump in and put a cover text on or a title page on, but I think I'm going to start just to show you the way that the text works in the book module. I'm going to start with an image page. I'm just going to go into this one. Now, I will warn you that the text features in the Lightroom book module, they have a lot of possibilities, but they're also kind of squirrely. Because of Lightroom's limitations, the fact that it doesn't really support layers, they've set it up so that it's a little bit sort of limited. So you could do more than you think you can, but you have to sort of know how to command it to do that. So if we look over here at the text boxes, you notice one of the things that's interesting is that we have photo text and page text. And for a long time when I was first using Lightroom, when I was first using Lightroom, I didn't realize that these were really different things. They're subtly different, but they're very important. So the photo text is designed to be a caption or a title for the photo. It generally defaults right here. This is the box where the title is going to be. And I'll go ahead and put in some text just so that we have a starting point. And I'll just go Mare Island. And I'll just leave it at that for now. And I'm going to go ahead and put it back to sort of a normal Arial. There we go. We're just going to put it to sort of a regular type for now. And it's black, and so we'll just play with that so you can see where it goes. Okay, so the first thing I can do, I can either align it with the photo or not align it with the photo. Once I align it with the photo, and this is the things that happen that are always kind of a little bit annoying. So when I realigned it with the photo, it actually aligned it and put it over the photo. I actually want it below the photo, but I have an option to put it above the photo or over the photo. Now, if I put it over the photo, I can also use this offset, so I can put it anywhere on the photo. Now, I don't actually want to do that. I want to just put it below the photo. Once I do that, I don't really have any alignment options. But I do have a number of options down here. So as soon as I activate this text, I can play with the font, I can play with the size, the opacity, I can play with all these different things. And we'll start at the top. Now, here's one thing that I don't like about the Lightroom text is that it doesn't give you a preview of these. You have to kind of go through and know what you're looking for. And we don't want to be, at least my recommendation is that you don't get too carried away with some kind of crazy font, but we might try to pick something that gives us a little bit of a mood. Oh, I like that. That's the Courier. So that has a little bit of a serif, but not so much that we can't read it. Now, right now, I am on regular. I could also, it looks like I could do bold. That's okay. I could do oblique. Actually, oblique is nice. It's like an italic. So we'll go ahead and leave it that way. The character, I thought I had it on black. Looks like we do. I'm going to change that here in a second. So yes, we have it on black. And so we can, before we change the color, well, we'll go ahead and change the color first. And I'm not going to go too far because I want this to stay relatively readable. That's really important. I mean, you can do all sorts of crazy things with your text color, especially if you're going over something else, but you can see this is not going to be very practical. I think for this, I would like just a darker, maybe slightly brighter blue to go with that blue background. Okay, so we could change that later. But yes, I like that. Now, I also, let's actually go ahead and select that again, because I was making some changes earlier, and I think yeah, there you go. I actually had brought the opacity down. So let me show you what it looks like at full opacity. This is something that I actually like to do in books or portfolios, is to change that opacity. But before we do that, let's play with size. So you always have to select it, and we can move the size up and down. Okay. And I'll just move it a little bit. I don't like that. I think I really want to keep the size smaller. And this is something I've found with my portfolios. I don't like that text, if I'm going to include it, to be particularly large. I'm also going to bring the opacity down. And you can see that I don't want to get it so it's unreadable, but I like that it is less dense than the image. I can also play with the tracking. This pulls it up. And I don't think I want to do much with the tracking. Now, the baseline can make you a little bit crazy, but it actually gives you a little bit of latitude to move this around if you're not over the image. And I'm just pulling it down a little bit so it's not leading right up against that image. And we also wanted to check the leading, which actually is having no effect in this one. So that looks pretty good. Now, the one other thing that I would like to be able to do is to decide whether or not I want to have it on the left, which is where it is now, in the center, on the right, or justified, which won't show up at this point. And I think I actually would like it on the right. That's kind of a normal thing. Okay, so that's how you play with captioning text if you decide you want to have a caption on your image. Now let's look at the page text because it's a little bit different. And we'll go back up here. We'll click photo text off. Don't want photo text. And this is where it always drives me a little crazy because the windows show up at the same place. Come on. So click photo text off. There we go. So now we are on page text. It's a little squirrely. Now it looks exactly, and this is what used to throw me off. It looks pretty much exactly like the photo text, but it's got a little bit more latitude, and particularly because it's on this blank page. So you notice here we don't have all this align with photo, etc., etc. We can actually start it at the top or the bottom, and our offset means that we can move it anywhere from the top to the bottom of the page. Let's go ahead and put it in the middle. And I'll go ahead and pick that same, which one did I pick up here? I'm going to have to guess now. So let's go ahead and choose just a very traditional Baskerville. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and just pretend to write a little history. And you can see that as I put this in here, I can play with the offset, but I can put it anywhere on the page. And as I keep going, it's going to actually expand. Now, I would not do this, but let's just say that we wanted this much bigger. You can see that it's going to allow me to take up that whole space. So this is really more of a page text tool, and we can do almost anything we want with it. Again, we can actually put that offset up here. We can actually play with the color of the text. We can play with the kerning, with all the different things that we could do with the photo text. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how to play with those. If you go to, I'll just briefly show you, if you go to the cover page. Now, the cover pages automatically are going to give you this block text, right? So this is where I would then call the title of my book, the title of my, there we go. Click on page text, and I'm going to offset it again. This is really important. I think I want to have the title right here, and I'm going to call this heading for home. Now, if you want to, this is the area that you can actually play. I'm going to put it right in the middle. You can play with some pretty elaborate fonts. fonts. Now, if only we could see them, but let me pick one that I know is a little bit more outrageous. We'll do Platino. It's not super outrageous, but a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a slightly different font, slightly different. Actually, let's go ahead and make it bold. And I'm going to bring the opacity down just a little bit, but not as much. And actually, I kind of like that. I can retrack it, and I can move the, there we go. And if I have just a little bit of opacity, or sorry, a little bit of transparency, that means those birds can kind of show through, which might be nice. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick, I think, kind of a deeper, well, I think definitely the deeper gray blue. We'll stick with that. I can put my name down there, and so on and so forth, a little bio on the back. On the title page, we're looking at really the same kind of thing. You can then add page text here. And again, it's a little bit squirrely, so we'll click that on, and there we go. Now we're at page text. And we could do the offset. We could put things wherever we like. Okay, that is it for playing with sequencing and text in the book module.